Hello, and welcome to American English Pronunciation. This is the first in a series of teaching people for whom English is not their native language, but English is their second or third or fourth or whatever language. The pronunciation that will make you most understandable to native English speakers around the world. And let me say that when we talk about different Englishes, and we say that Englishes around the world, basically we're talking about a difference a lot of time in vowels. That is in A, E, I, O, and U. Let me make that darker. Those are the vowels, and sometimes Y. Sometimes Y. Those are the vowels in English. And those will vary a great deal from country to country, from area to area, from the north of England, for example, to the south of England. They'll vary a lot. But consonants, on the other hand, which is anything other than those letters, will not vary that much. So let's look at why it's important to do pronunciation at all. This is a listener, this is a speaker. In some languages, the listener bears the burden of creating understanding. That is, that if listeners don't understand something, they are supposed to ask intelligent questions. How does this compare to that? Or what you were saying before, will that apply here? But in English, as in many other languages, the burden, that is the burden, falls on the speaker to be really clear, to be as clear as they possibly can. That's why English speakers, native English speakers, especially in the US, are constantly saying to their listeners, okay, got it? Understand? Are you with me? On the same page? Do you need me to repeat that? Because they know, even if they've never seen this diagram before, they know that it's their job as a speaker to make things clear. So as you're speaking, when you're speaking English, it is your job to make things as clear as possible. That's why the burden falls on you. And that includes pronunciation. Now, the first sound we're going to be working with, the first two sounds, because the next in the series will also be on this, are TH sounds. There are two kinds. Soft TH and strong TH. Okay, what does that mean? I made up those words myself because what I found is that my students best understood this by understanding that it refers to the amount of air that you're expelling with the sound. So a soft TH, you would be expelling very soft sound. A strong TH, you'd be expelling a lot of air, a lot of sound. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing today. Now I will say that this is tough for everybody from around the world. I'll tell you why. Because only English and Icelandic is the language of the people who live on that island just off the northwest coast of Europe. Only English and Icelandic retain this kind of pronunciation of these sounds. In fact, Icelandic has its own letters for those sounds. And some of you may recognize that sound because it's in the IPA, the International Phonetic Language. Okay, so obviously this is a strange sound for most of you, and it's very difficult to figure out how to pronounce it. And some of you may have been taught the wrong way to pronounce it. So let's look at this. When you are pronouncing a soft TH, that's the side of your mouth. Those are your teeth. That is your tongue. You notice how the tongue has to come outside the teeth? It does. It does. For a soft TH, you're going to be pressing a little bit of air, little bit of air, little bit of air, little bit of air, and it's so little that you should get a vibration there on your tongue. You won't be able to see me very well, but we will give you examples of words to pronounce with somebody with a very tight close-up of how those look. And you will see this person's tongue flicker in or out as the TH is pronounced. So a very, very small amount of air, but the tongue must become outside your mouth. It must actually extend past your teeth. It's sort of like if you were going on a diving board. Okay, you go out on a diving board, that's your platform, and you bounce a little bit, and then you can dive. Here, your tongue is your platform, and the air represents you. You're going out. So there's a little bit of bounce because there's very little air. Your teeth are coming down, and there's very little air. A little bit of a bounce, and then the sound comes out. So that's a soft TH. We'll be working on strong THs next time. But for right now, remember that your tongue should be outside. But what I mean your tongue, I mean the tip of your tongue, should be outside your teeth about a half a centimeter to a centimeter. It can be as much as a centimeter. But it must be outside your teeth. Like that. So let's go ahead and get samples, and then I will come back at the end of this and show you some things that you need to think about when you're actually pronouncing soft TH. See you.
That, weather, breathe, than, father, bathe, they, mother, lathe, there, feather, seethe, these, bathing, loathe, them, together, clothe, they'd, bother, smooth, they'll, brother, teeth, this, clothing, sheath, those, weatherman, soothe, though, other, therefore, otherwise, themselves, gather, therein, either, thereby, rather, there, leather, they've, smoothest. Those weathermen will either bathe in that lather or they'll loathe it.
There you go. Hi, welcome back. I hope you looked at that and said, okay, what can I do with this? And believe me, repetition, repeating it, practicing it over and over, that's what's going to help. When you practice, remember that there's an English expression, which I'm sure you all know, practice makes perfect. But I want to say that a football coach many decades ago in the US said, that's not true. It's not true that practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, meaning you have to do it properly. You have to do it yourself and imitate it exactly. What helps is to do this in front, especially with the THs, is to do this in front of a mirror, to have a little hand mirror with you so you can watch the video and then practice it yourself. Watch it, practice it, watch it, practice it. And I will say that many of my students, and I've worked with hundreds of students on a college level, these are international graduate students, many of my students put the practice sentence that came at the end, they put that into their phones. So that then when they're walking to a bus, they're waiting for a class, they're waiting for something, you know, maybe they're waiting for their food at a restaurant, they can practice this sentence, even if it's very softly to themselves. Practice their whatever, in this case soft TH, whatever sound is there. Let me say something about soft TH in addition. When you have it at the end, you need to absolutely hang on to it a little bit. Let me show you what I mean. You just had this word in practice. Breathe, breathe. But what if you didn't hit that TH pretty hard? And what if you didn't actually pronounce the TH very well? Here's what your listener might hear. Breeze, or this word. Brief or this word. Breed or this word. Brie, which is a kind of cheese. Okay, so here we have breathe, breeze, brief, breed, and brie, which has no consonant at the end. Huge difference, right? Enormous difference. If you said the word independent to me, I would know what you meant within the context of the sentence because there are only two choices, independent or independence. Plus, it's a 4-syllable word. But with 1 or 2 syllable words, when you have the consonant at the end, you need to pronounce it properly. You really need to hit it, what I call hit it hard. So this is breathe, breeze, brief, breed, brie. So that's very important when you have short words that end in a consonant to really tell us what that consonant is. That's doing your job as a speaker. That's actually carrying the burden of creating understanding for your listeners. This is the end of the first session. I want you to come back, and in the second session, I'll be talking about strong THs. For example, like thorn, bathtub, and moth. In the meantime, practice well. Thank you. Bye-bye.